Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. The Challengers Last Chance qualifier has been going down and a big scalp was taken last night with Doug St. Martin's Boston Breach Academy going up 2-0 on Gunners, talking all sorts of trash before they getting reverse swept and bowing out of their season. Lots of drama about this over the last few weeks, culminating last night with some vivid stuff going down as well. That drama with Doug continuing. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty we've got to get into here. Crimsix was actually doing some kind of like desk hosting almost at this ESL Munich Major, which is where the finals of the Ren Sports R1 season are going down. Crim didn't qualify unfortunately, so he's there doing content and stuff for the broadcast, which has been very entertaining to watch so far. Also going on though is HCS Dallas, or DreamHack Dallas, HCS, whatever exactly it's called, because there's a CS event going on here as well. And OpTic Gaming, I guess, must have come in as the favourites, right? Because they are the reigning world champions right now. But still, they had a bit of a struggle in the group stages, got 3-0'd by Quadrant. Last night they went down 3-1 to SSG. That's a solid squad with Penguin and co over there. Then they had to go through losers, had a tough time in losers, had to play Quadrant again, beat those guys 3-2 I believe, and then took down Native Red, which I believe was the final series for them to ensure they get to Sunday. Formal this map won, dropped 45 kills. I mean, this guy was absolutely out of control. They win this series 3-0 I believe in the end to make it to Sunday. So yeah, OpTic is still alive at what is kind of like their home tournament in some respects. Of course, OpTic have never really been based in Texas, but it now kind of feels like they are by association with the main OpTic Texas squad, and of course a lot of them are based out there in Dallas now anyway, so it kind of feels like a bit of a home event. But then again, it's the same story for plenty of the other teams that live there, I imagine, at the moment as well. So OpTic anyway, they get the job done, make it through to Sunday, and that's what Formal says. Yeah, they won 3-2 against Quadrant, Native Red for top 3, and that secures their spot tomorrow, or well, today, right? It's because today's Championship Sunday, so they'll be out there with presumably the Championship Whites, which for some reason the CDL don't allow the teams to wear if they make another Sunday, which they have one more chance. To be fair, to make Sunday at Champs, you've got to make the final, so that might be a challenge, but it definitely can be done, and we'll talk about it more later on today. Let's dive into then some of these, well, situations in the winners bracket and the losers bracket at the Challengers Last Chance qualifier going around the world. It was always going to be a tough task for Boston Breach Academy. Yes, they were the #1 seed, but their team has been messed around so much over the last few weeks. So many players that Doug has brought in have been brought up to the starting team, Snoopy among them. They had to bring in a last-minute replacement, only a few days of practice, and they were looking okay, but they weren't good enough. I believe they actually lost to this team as well. So this is Big Head and co, Nola Flight GG. Some of these players, Craze as well was very impressive. Few of these guys have been looking rather good. So there's definitely a next generation, and CDC Intel says remember the names. So yeah, they've done pretty well. They took down Boston Breach Academy in the winners quarterfinal, and then Doug and co would then go on to face Gunless's team, far from an easy team to stop, in the losers bracket. Now Snoopy got called up to Boston Breach the other day. Does this result we're going to discuss in a second mean that I don't still believe that putting Doug into the starting Boston Breach team is still a better chance for them to beat OpTic than if they don't do that? I still stand by that statement, to be honest. But it's a massively chaotic time for Boston because Doug has brought in a Ghosty last year, Dashy way back in the day, Beans comes in, Crimp comes in, Snoopy comes in, all guys that have been in part scouted by Doug. Doug was happy to play with, built them up to a certain degree, and then they get taken to the starting Boston team. Now that's not a massive surprise, that's the point of the academy fundamentally, but still, you gotta say, I'd be a bit frustrated if I was Doug, especially because Doug was giving Snoopy a lot of gas, saying that his movement is better than Shotzzy's, or at least it's kind of like on par with that type of level. I mean, look, Shotzzy's PFE is completely different to whatever you're gonna see elsewhere in the CDL, but yeah, I think he is. Snoopy's movement is pretty disgusting, so he's a very talented player. Will you get the best out of him by just chucking him into the Boston starting team with no real experience or pedigree or championship winning guys on that roster? I'm not so sure you will, which is why that I said that bringing Doug along for the ride might be a good idea as well. And in fairness, now that Doug has not qualified for Challengers Champs, maybe it's even more of a possibility that they now do so. So this was the series they played last night. They win game 1 comfortably, 250-75 on Hydro, smoke these guys out of the park. Doug goes 19-13, most till time on his team, and Nero, Gunless, Pristinian, and Dylan Rex. I mean, that is a very solid squad. They go down on the other side of things. Game 2 as well, Doug gets the job done, thanks to this 1 versus 3 that he clutches out. Actually, he makes some interesting decisions. They're up 5-2, here he is trying to defend the bomb. There's a 1 versus 2 left over towards the B side. fight. And yeah, it's about 20 seconds at this point. Let's see what Doug opts to do. The door opens, he gets this one kill, and then he actually just does decide to fly out this door and almost, you know, doesn't make it happen, but he does somehow survive, and eventually it doesn't quite get the knife, but it doesn't matter. Doug clutches it up, and as I'll share for you guys here, talks a fair bit of trash to the other team as a result. You're up 2-0, feeling very confident. Surely it couldn't possibly backfire, could it?
Shit stage! Shit stage, let's go! Come on!
I believe Doug also went on to say shortly after that he's like the best AR in challenges, which, you know, unfortunately the series wasn't over yet, and it then came back to bite him because he goes for the 7 in the control. I mean, Doug and 7, what a duo that is. We saw it the other day with Zuma, right? Doug dropped 7 and 18. Not really an acceptable scoreline for an AR on CDL control on LSC though. So, I mean, look, I think he's improved a lot, right? People are going to clown Doug for this, and you can understand why. Doug doesn't always drop the greatest numbers. I do think he's made some improvements over the last few months. I actually think he's pretty alright on the AR. He definitely needs a lot of good talent around him to still get good results, but I do think he enables that to a certain extent. And yes, he's got his stinker maps in him. There's no doubt about that. He's not always the greatest at search and destroy either, but he is good at planting the bombs, which is what he does in the game 5, and eventually they go down. So frustrating for sure for Doug and co to get reverse swept in this manner, to bow out of the challenger's LCQ. They had a chance to do it. You know, I wasn't really expecting them to do so, and he even goes on Duolingo afterwards, is like, alright, it's time for me to learn Chinese. I believe he might have even doxed himself on this as well, like he brought up his address by accident, so he had a bit of a nightmare, to be honest, after bowing out of the tournament. But yeah, Doug not going to be there at the Challengers World Championship. I know that people flip-flop on Doug so quickly, right? People are saying, oh, put him in the starting team. Now people are saying, oh, there's no way he deserves to sniff a CDL spot ever again. I do think he's improved. Is he at a CDL pro caliber level? I don't think so. But would he be more influential on a team's success elsewhere in the CDL than some of the players are right now in the CDL? I would say yes. So, yeah, there's a debate to be held on that one. And unfortunately, the Pentagram, 2 years in a row, he's robbed. And this is the issue that they ran into, is that their qualification spot for the World Championship was taken away, in part because other teams around them formed rosters with more pro points. This is the crazy thing in a way. You can go into the final event of the season in Toronto, which was the final Challengers event. They don't make it. I think they got top 3. Very close, but because other teams were able to make changes, bring in guys like GodRx who had more points, and therefore give themselves more points, Boston then found themselves just missing out on the guaranteed qualification spots, which then puts them in the LCQ with 15 other teams that, especially online, I mean, even if you're the best team out of all 16, playing online, you're only going to win that tournament like 20-30% of the time at the end of the day. I'm not saying Boston are necessarily the best team, but when you've got 15 other teams playing against you that are all pretty good in an online series, winning that, the best team isn't always going to win, is what I'm trying to get across there. It's always tricky. So the other big drama though that's been going down, and I mentioned this for you guys the other day, and it was continuing here with this Nola Flight versus Vivid's team game. So Vivid's new team is Mock, Major Maniac, and Rupert Skywalker, and then we've got Big Head and Co on the other side of things that we just mentioned. This was in a game 5. But yeah, so Doug is not happy with Vivid. I mentioned this the other day, but I couldn't quite find a clip from Doug's mouth himself suggesting what he was frustrated about or what he was talking about. But what he's getting at here is that Vivid, after getting benched by the starting Boston team, didn't want to come and play with the Boston Academy. And Doug's like, look, fair enough, that's fine, whatever, you can do as you please in that sense, but don't go around DMing my teammate on the Boston Academy in Pentagram to try and get him to leave my academy and go elsewhere. Vivid and Nero and these guys, after getting benched from the starting team, didn't seem to want to play with Doug or that academy, which is, you know, they're in their rights, which I suppose they are within their rights to do so, but it feels a little bit strange, right? After, you know, you're playing for Boston, when you get benched, you'd think you'd go to the academy. That's not the case, right? They decide to go elsewhere, form different teams, as we saw there with Nero on that team with, actually beating Boston Academy at the ends, right, to knock them out of the World Championship. So it's always kind of strange how if you've got players on your substitute bench, you'd think they would have the best interest of the Academy and the starting roster at heart. That does not seem to be the case, and Doug basically just calls him a snake and says, look, I'm not happy with you trying to snake my team and screw over your own organization in some respect to gain this advantage.
No, here's the bottom line with Vivid. You could take this clip and put this anywhere you want. He got benched off the Boston main team, and what Vivid the Warrior decided to do was DM Pentagram on the side, trying to get him to leave Boston Academy to make a team with Vivid and Challengers. He was asking if Pentagram was under a contract after Pentagram went to local area network under Boston Academy with the jersey on, and then once he got benched, he was asked if he wants to play on the Academy team, and he said no. And then after he said no, he decided to DM Pentagram. I don't care if you don't want to play here, but don't be saying no to joining the Academy team and then DMing a player on the Academy team on the side. I will forever never respect Vivid for that. And then his justification was like that he just didn't take accountability. I have the DMs of Vivid trying to take Nate from the team, and then he straight up DM'd me and tried to say that he didn't try to take him. And then I tried to approach Vivid, but he got smoked by London so fast that he went home, and I couldn't speak to him. So I don't respect Vivid. I don't like the guy. I think he's not a team player. I think he's trying to break up Boston Academy for his own personal self-gain while he's still under the org, and I just quite frankly don't like that.
Doug, you're going to be back next season, bro, going crazy.
I'm going to the CDL next year, Tom. Mark my word, I'm in the CDL next year, 100%.
You're in the CDL?
100%. 100% I'm going to be in the CDL.
Wait, you think so, Doug?
I know I'm the best, bro. I know it because everyone in North America can't beat me when I'm on an AR. Literally, I haven't lost to a North American team on LAN. I've only lost to the team that won the last 2 events, and I smoked everybody.
What team are you gonna get on, Doug? You got to think like.
I don't give a. I'm so good that people are gonna give me offers. I know I'm gonna prove it again. Like I'll do it if I'm in Challengers day 1. I'll fry in Challengers day 1. I'll fry all year. I don't give a. I'm definitely going in the league now. Like I didn't know. I wasn't sure. Last year with Vanguard, we didn't have LAN. A bunch of weird circumstances. Beginning of this game, I'm doing a role change. I am certain I'm good enough now. Certain. And I don't care if I'm in Challengers all year. I'll prove it throughout the year. I don't give a. I'm certain, bro.
Yeah, you'll be good. So you gotta get. Bro, you actually got to get on that, though. Like, get in it.
So what do you think about this whole drama with Vivid, right? Because I understand Doug's perspective. At the same time, there's part of me that says, you know what? It's tricky out here in the CDL, right? It's tricky to get a spot. There's no guarantees that you're going to be secured a spot next season if you're a guy like Vivid. You know, he hasn't had a great season. If he goes to Challengers and chooses the team that he thinks has the best chance of making it to Challengers champs, make some noise there, then he could potentially do something, right? So I can understand that perspective, but then again, when you're kind of deliberately trying to mess around your own organization's academy, probably implies that organization hasn't done a great job kind of inspiring loyalty within you, and also probably implies he's not going to be there next year. So that's one side of it. The other point that Doug was making was that in his opinion, he's going to be in the CDL next year 100%. Honestly, teaming with Doug is a fast track to the CDL. So many people that are teamed with Doug, the Ghosties, the Beans, the Crimps, now the Snoopies of the world, have been brought up to the CDL very shortly afterwards. It feels in some senses like it's only a matter of time until the same thing happens with Doug. I don't think he's great at this game, but I think he's alright at this game. As I said, I do think he's improved. Is he CDL caliber level? I don't think so. But would he be more valuable to certain CDL teams than other players are that are in the league right now? I would say yes. So who knows? Is Doug going to get a spot? Is the stigma going to hurt him too much? Is the stigma justified? What's going to happen with Boston? Just because they're going into champs, and as Doug says, unfortunately didn't qualify. Hopefully people will respect me moving forward for next season. Maybe he's talking about some of the guys, you know, the Neros, the Vivids that could have played with him but decided not to go a different way, or maybe he's going down a different direction entirely. But what this does mean, technically, is that because he's not going to be at the Challengers World Championship, there is maybe more likelihood that they bring him up to the starting team for the World Championship itself. With the Boston guys, they play OpTic round 1. I don't expect them to do so, but do I think that they have a marginally better chance with Doug in there to try and get the best out of Snoopy and those other guys than they do with the current AR duo they have? I still stand by that opinion, regardless of what happened last night. So, yeah, very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Just wanted to finish out with this as well from Dave, legendary Welsh European player for so many years, was came 4th at the World Championship back in Black Ops 3 on Fabi Esports. That was a crazy run that they had. They took down Cloud9, the vanquishers of OpTic Gaming, of course, at the time. And then next year, he had his best year in Infinite Warfare. They won a couple of domestic events, I believe, in Europe. The highlight from my perspective was top 3 at CWL Anaheim that year. There was the Epsilon team with Dave, Hawkey, Vortex, and I forget if B-Sport Josh was there at the time or they made some roster changes or whatever happens. But Dave's been in and out now for a couple of years. He had that legendary interview, right, where he was talking about, I hope they played Taboo or something in the bracket. You guys probably remember that one. But unfortunately, that's going to be the end for his career. So wishing the best for Dave going forwards. But very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts and all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.